Double E or Y?
Right, Y.
Okay, so we got a different one. Double E? Yeah.
Double E means trouble.
Yeah. Double trouble.
Double trouble.
Go ahead and get started.
Oh, okay. She just took off. No, I just like, right?
The money.
Feel like I'm done.
Thanks. See you later. That's why they call it a ghost story. Ghost story. Yeah, ghost story. There you go.
We're giving you exactly what you've signed up for.
That's why she's a lesbian. Damn, I'm good right now. Sorry. He's on fire. He's on fire. Alright. Sorry, guys.
Welcome. My name is Brandy. I'll be your tour guide this evening. You may know that Granberry's motto is where Texas history lives. We like to say it's where Texas history never left. Now, a couple little disclaimers before we get started. Just a reminder, this is a walking tour. It's about an hour long. Take you around the square with a little detour off. No, not overly strenuous. If you feel like you may not be up to, please let me know. I'll gladly refund your money. We don't want anyone experiencing any physical discomfort this evening. A little mental discomfort perhaps, but not any physical. Also, of course, we can't guarantee that you'll see or experience anything ghostly. They don't necessarily come when we call them. But you do have my word, we don't have anything rigged. Nothing's going to jump out at you and yell boo or anything. It's not the kind of tour. So if you do happen to see something, if it's not a trick of the imagination, it just might be real. We've had some weird things happen on the tours before. They especially like messing with technology. Cell phones and camera batteries can get drained or make it really hard to take a picture somehow. I've had it on 3 different occasions so far that a person's cell phone will randomly start playing music when they're not even touching it. The third time it happened twice on the same tour to the same person, but it was a different song each time. So it actually had to change selections in the middle. First Fish and I twins, second was Whitesnake. So there's a pretty good variety, you know? Ghosts have some good taste. You're here to party. So you never know what can happen. And of course, photography is highly encouraged if you're able to. If you happen to get anything fun showing up in your pictures, let me know. We'll post it on Facebook. We love that sort of thing. You never know who's going to photobomb you out here. We have started with a brief history of Granberry itself. Granberry was incorporated as a town in 1871. The decision to make Granberry the county seat of Hood County was made by a small majority of the county's voters via a 40-acre land donation made by J.F. and J. Nutt and Thomas Lambert. We'll learn about the Nutt family in just one moment. Granberry was named after General Hiram Bronson Granberry. He was Brigadier General of the Confederate Army under the command of General John Bell Hood, which gave Hood County its name. Granberry and General Pat Seaburn was killed at the Battle of Princeton in 1864. He was buried there in Tennessee till 1893 when his body was brought here to the city cemetery. At that time, the procession carried his body up Crockett Street right here on its way up to his new home. Now, in the early days of Granbury, the town wasn't necessarily the nice family-friendly town that we have today. At one point, there were at least 7 saloons just along the square. We were a party town. That ended after 1905 when Carrie Nation came to town. She was a prominent figure in the Prohibition and Temperance movement, working to ban the use of alcohol. She left her famous axe at home this time, but she gathered the women of the town together into the Christian Women's Temperance League. They worked together to clean up the town and eventually shut down the saloons. Now, there are several historical figures associated with Granbury, some of whom we may even meet tonight. But there's some, while not really directly related to the square, I'd fear a miss in talking about Granbury without mentioning them. In the 1850s, the area was home to the family of Alamo hero David Crockett. His widow Elizabeth and their family settled in this area. Elizabeth is now buried in the nearby Acton Cemetery, where her gravesite marks the smallest state park in Texas. Just her grave, not the cemetery, is the state park. It's even got a little fence around it and everything. Wouldn't recommend camping there, though. It's kind of cramped, not very good fishing. Now, their grandson, Ashley Crockett, gained some local fame in the 1870s by becoming one of the first newspaper publishers in the area. In fact, the Hood County News that we have today is a direct descendant of the paper that Ashley Crockett ran. The Crockett family were such major players in the development of the town that, again, Crockett Street is named here in their honor. There's something interesting to note about our clock tower, other than it tells you every time it feels like it. I've seen it a lot worse than that, though, so we're doing it. That is a Seth Thomas hand-wound mechanism. There are only 2 Seth Thomas hand-wound clock towers still operating in the world. Can anyone guess who the second one might be? And no, it's not Back to the Future again.
London.
London, very good. Big Ben. We have a direct link to the most famous clock tower in the world. In fact, during the Millennium celebration, CNN had a correspondent in each time zone, so we could ring in the new year over and over again. For Central Time, they were here in Granbury, so had a correspondent at Big Ben. They wanted someone at the sister clock as well. I hope it was working then, though, so it's not, yay, happy 15 minutes after New Year. It's not quite the same ring. Now we're already at our first destination of the evening. This here is the J.F. and Jayna Building. It was built in 1893 for two blind brothers, Jesse and Jacob Nutt. They established a mercantile business in this area in 1866 in a log cabin building with a wagon yard in the back, hence the wagon yard, that's back there now. Like I mentioned earlier, it was their land donation that made the town possible. Like I said, this building was built in 1893 by local contractor Jim Warren. It housed 3 generations of the Nutt family, with the Nutt Hotel moving in here around 1910. The plaque says 1919, but further research now points to being closer to 1910. In the 1960s, Mary Lou Watkins, a direct descendant of the Nutt family, opened a restaurant right there, the second door down. That's her ringing her bell across the street over there. That was part of the restaurant's gimmick, the old war period garb. When she finished cooking at the end of the day, she came outside ringing her bell, letting everyone know that supper was on the table. She was a major part of the revitalization campaign of the downtown square in the 1960s. I really can't overstate her accomplishments. She pretty much single-handedly refurbished the square. She's the reason we have so many historical markers. She's the reason why the square itself is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. She's pretty much the reason why we are what we are today. Mary Lou closed the restaurant in 1998, passed away in 2001, but she never really left. My mother and I used to work here as servers at another restaurant before it closed down just 2 years ago. We encountered Mary Lou almost on a daily basis. She's actually our inspiration for starting the tours. Well, like saving after her death, she's still helping Granberry business prosper. Cabinet doors would open by themselves, have to shut them back. Okay, Mary Lou, we get it, we know you're here. Back door we heard slamming, footsteps on the floor, faucets turning on and off. A few times my mother even saw a lady in a long dress and a bun walking upstairs and around the upstairs landings. One evening, my mother's in the back dining room doing some training with another employee. She's the only female in the building at the time. All of a sudden, they both hear women's laughter coming from the front. They think, uh-oh, someone's up front waiting to be seated. We didn't hear the door open. They go rushing up front to greet the party, but there's no one up there waiting for a table. My mother and I opening up one morning, getting ready for a party upstairs, realized we needed a second tablecloth. I go down to the linen closet to get it. She says, oh, I left it unlocked. You don't need to worry about the key. Get down there, turn the knob, it's locked. So I get the key, I unlock it, get the cloth, lock it back, testing the knob to make sure it's secure. A little later, I ask her, could you mind getting me some napkins out of the closet? I locked it back. You need to take the key. She comes back and says, you sure you locked it? Because it was unlocked when I got there. It's very like to have a lot of fun on this over here. Now, the Nutt Hotel room 4 seems to get a lot of activity, named the Mary Lou Watkins Suite, by the way. They've had activity elsewhere, but room 4 seems to be the hub. They had a couple ladies stand there one evening. Around 4:30 in the morning, one of them gets woken up to someone very firmly shaking her shoulder. Her friend is still asleep next to her, so it's obviously not her. She wakes her friend up. They're laying there trying to figure out what's going on. When all of a sudden, the room gets ice cold, and they hear knocking all over the walls. And they, okay, something's definitely wanting us to stay up tonight, because we're not going back to sleep anytime soon. We were doing these tours one evening. Lady comes out and says, oh, I know this place is haunted. I was just in my hotel room. Someone knocked on the window. As you can see, all the rooms are on the 2nd story. So who's knocking on those windows? Paul Bunyan? That's a different lady. Now, a while back, there was a couple that stayed in room 4 along with their little 3-year-old daughter. All of a sudden, the little girl just starts talking away. And I says, who are you talking to? The girl says, that woman. Even more recently, I had a couple ladies come on our tour. They were staying there in room 4, specifically wanting to try to make contact. They have the room keys tossed on the dresser. They're sitting on the bed chatting. And so, Mary Lou, we love this room. It's beautiful. If you're here, can you give us some sort of a sign? As soon as I say this, the room keys start getting dragged across the top of the dresser. So it's a pretty good immediate sign for them right there. So I think Mary Lou is still here, taking care of her guests, always the hostess.
Oh,
So,
what room was that?
room 4. Yep, that's the one you want. It's on the other side, actually, but yeah. So it's like the equivalent windows on the other
Is that
side.
what you're saying?
Yeah, so,
No, I'm not.
it's gutted right now. They're renovating, but yeah. So, which means it's going to be extra exciting when they open back up, because there's no telling what they're stirring up in there right now.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, they're remodeling stuff.
oh yeah, they've gutted it in there. They're changing all of it. I can't wait to see what it looks like. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, so don't worry, she is friendly. So if ever you do want to stay here when it opens back up, I hear she likes to turn on the ceiling fans if she thinks you're not being comfortable enough, you know, that sort of thing. She's a hostess. She wants to make sure you're having a good time. Now we're going to head on to what many consider to be our creepiest destination on the tour, one you probably wouldn't want to spend the night in, even if it wasn't haunted. I don't know, you might.
Probably.
Are we actually going into the building?
I actually think I saw something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw an orb fly by you.
Oh, cool.
Plus, I saw people walking behind you that weren't there.
Oh, nice.
Shadows. I want to go through this footage again. But if I do, I'll let you know.
Okay, awesome.
How could they be so?
One person saying,
Oh, yeah. There's been people dying this time.
Maybe not. We have an old town jail museum, and only one person ever got killed, and he was hung. Just one.
Oh, you just got a camera.
now this here is a historic Hood County jailhouse. It was built in 1885 to succeed the 1873 log jail. It was in use up until 1978 when a new center was built. He used to have a cool looking one. It was like on a full stand, you know, like full length, but I guess they needed space. The other one was creepier. Oh, he was kind of cool. So this was still in use up until 1978 when a new center was built. This building was still housing inmates in the late 1970s. I actually had a man on a tour a while back said he spent some time in this jail when he was younger.
Are you serious?
He didn't say what for, that had the juicy stuff. But, this place actually is open to the public. It is a museum during the day on weekends. I highly recommend you checking it out. It's got a very fun, creepy feeling here. The bottom floor is a museum with pieces and artifacts from around Hood County. The upstairs floor is the actual jail cells. Lots of rusted iron, graffiti from the past inmates all over the walls. It's a really neat feeling up there if you like creepy stuff like I do. So there's a lot of activities been experienced in here. Bunks have been heard slamming down on the floor. Footsteps on the stairs. One time a tour guide of the jail took a group upstairs and immediately came right back down, leaving her group completely alone up there without a host. She said, I felt something up there and I am not going back. I promise I won't do that to y'all tonight on this tour though. At least I'll try not to. If you see me running, try to keep up. But I'm probably running towards this thing. Get your camera, this is great. A ghost is often heard settling down in a corner of the room down here. You'll be heard walking around down the stairs around the floor. Then he'll hunker down in this one particular corner. Except one time, he decided to leave his corner so he could sit on a lady's lap while she was trying to work. She said she felt as if her entire body was enveloped by a thick, misty cloud. A gifted person came in to speak with him. She's an automatic writer, one who communicates with spirits by literally writing down what they're telling her. He told her that he's harmless. He's a Native American named Joe who was separated from his tribe as they were wandering this part of Texas. They asked him to come downstairs. They said as soon as he did, they could all immediately feel his presence. So they concluded that Joe's just a lonely spirit. This is his tribe with a little bit of company. Joe's been getting quite a bit of company lately. This has become a very popular location for ghost hunting groups, myself included. My mother and I are members of a group called Research and Investigation of the Paranormal, or RIP. We came in here to do an investigation, got some pretty interesting findings. On the first floor in the back room, they have a piano on display. We got a picture of some odd white lights coming up from the keyboard. When you do an investigation, you always want to make sure to debunk. You don't get something weird and just say, oh, it's a ghost and leave it at that. Really try to duplicate it, make sure it's not something easily explained away. So we took several different pictures in that exact same location, but the lights didn't show up in any other picture. So you can effectively rule out glare, flash, or any other easily explained phenomenon. We also got a couple interesting audio recordings. One is very clearly of a man groaning in the background. Oh, more of a growl, really. Another one sounds like a woman mumbling, really muffled and hard to hear. Then you hear bong, like the closing of a cell door. They say when you really clean it up and listen hard, it sounds like the woman is saying, leave, bong. I don't know what she's talking to, hopefully not us, we didn't mean any harm. Probably is talking to us though, we tend to irritate them sometimes. All I know is whoever's here, Joe or the lady or anyone else, know a lot of others have been documented by other groups coming in. There's no telling who's coming in and out of here any given moment. I hope they did enjoy our company. Don't make things too interesting for us on the tour series week. Now we're going to be heading up around the corner. Please watch your step as we go. This is the darkest house we're walking on. There's some uneven pavement and some overgrown shrubbery. And if you walk in the grass itself, be especially careful because there's a little manhole in one of the areas. There's a little obstacle course for you. So please just keep a very close eye on where you're stepping. We have enough ghosts on our tour. We don't need to add any more to it.
That's fun.
The second orb I've seen. And I keep following her. Really? I won't tell you what I saw.
Oh, God.
You really see something?
I think I saw a couple of things.
What?
It's okay. They'll just follow you back to your room. No big deal.
I saw it on the camera.
What?
Different light.
When? Attack you, Jill?
Every time she stops, I see an orb go by her. Stanley.
Yep. That's where I'm from.
Oh, mine too.
That in the Winchester house.
I just watched that movie.
It was so good.
Oh, it was amazing.
For me, though, it's like I hate it when they just rely on jump scares because I hate jump scares anyway, and then I just feel like
Yeah.
See,
where it's like rely more on atmosphere and that kind of stuff.
I'm from Colorado, and I've had friends that have stayed like in that room in the Stanley because that room is booked out
Oh yeah.
every year.
And you have to take out a small loan for it, right?
Yeah. And I've had
That's the manhole, yep.
I've had some that said they experienced some weird shit, and then I had some other ones that were like, nothing happened.
Do you usually have a lot of orbs around you?
We found
It's
that.
my guides.
I'm thinking so.
He needs to be in the front to get over
He
here.
needs to get down and dirty. I'm Catholic.
Does anyone live here?
There you go.
So this house actually is still a private residence. So I'm going to try to talk a little bit lower in case they happen to be home. They know we do the tours, but I try to avoid freaking them out if I can help it.
Yes,
That's probably the people. Also,
I can't see a person, but the curtains.
yeah. I think they're
Where?
Also, photography here is
Oh, I see
perfectly
it.
fine, but we could try to make sure we limit flash as much as possible, so you don't have a whole paparazzi thing if they're in there trying to rest. So, but this here is the Aston House. It was built in 1905 for Andy Aston and his wife Dorothy Dolly Pickling. Andy Aston was co-owner of the Aston Lander Saloon, which is now the store called the Arts and Letters Bookstore on the other side of where we started with the tour. This house was built because Dolly's parents were not too happy at the thought of how their daughter's fiance earned his living being a saloon owner. So we told him, okay, I promise to build your daughter the prettiest house in Granberry. You promise to stop bothering me about the way I make an income. So even back in 1905, people are just trying to deal with their in-laws. Apparently, Dolly still lives here. People that have lived here before, so they'll be laying in bed at night. We'll hear the pots and pans moving around in the kitchen, the trash can rolling around outside. Children that have lived here said they've actually seen a lady checking in on them at night as they lay in bed.
Or the blinds moving by
They
themselves.
said-
Y'all see that?
Way over.
There is no one
one's
up there.
Right?
I mean, look.
Bro, if I lived in this house, I'd put a fan by the thing just to freak
Probably.
you.
I have heard sometimes they will do stuff.
Good
like that,
idea.
so you
That's
never
probably
know.
what.
That's awesome. I would.
Wait, there's literally no one there in those fans.
It is.
I don't know.
So then, you're used to this. You don't seem like you really care about that. So is it always moving?
Look,
Well,
it's
things
back
are always
now.
happening. You never know. And plus, it is hard to tell if they are meant to those servants.
Could be wind.
Yes. So I always try to keep calm where I'm not like freaking everyone out and that kind of stuff. So. It's a
Where
ghost.
is it?
So Dolly's still a mother, cooking and cleaning and tending to the children. Another possible ghostly resident was a tenant of a Mrs. Riley who had bought the house and rented out rooms. Children have seen a gentleman in a dark suit from time to time. One time, a little girl who used to live here went up to her mother and said, "Can't tell if he's happy or sad." Mother says, "Who are you talking about?" She says, "The man that's sitting on my toy chest."
Jesus.
Apparently, this little girl loved singing to her guests. She'd often be heard
Did you see that
just
flash?
singing away in her room to whoever was listening. One evening, her father was walking down the hall and he
didn't
hears her
expect that.
singing. He thinks, "Wow, my daughter just has the most beautiful singing voice." But then it hits him. Wait a minute. I'm the only one in the house right now.
19
We
minutes.
don't
I
know
gotta
who
remember
that
that.
was singing, but I guess someone got entertained that evening. One evening, another former resident was inside the house by herself. Her husband's at work. She becomes very frightened with the feeling she's getting in there. A friend of hers that understood the odd circumstances of the house had advised her, if you ever become scared inside the house, simply say out loud, "If you mean us harm, I command you to leave. If you mean us no harm, you may stay." So she says this. And immediately after, a knocking starts at the back of the house, moving slowly forward towards her. Of course, this really scares her. So she called her husband at work. Her husband hears the knocking over the phone and rushes right home to be with her. So they're sitting there listening as the knocking moves slowly from the back to the front. When all of a sudden, as soon as the knocking reaches the front door, it disappears altogether.
Okay.
We'll continue on this way. Once again, please watch your step.
And they were moving blind. That's the story.
You just saw that thing walk right past this, right? Didn't you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't see that big flash?
Stop it.
No, I did not.
You were watching it at that time. That's why I said, did you see that?
Tell me you were filming the second story, dude.
I did. That's why I said in that 19 minutes, because I saw something literally walk past it.
Walk past what?
The camera.
Upstairs or in front of
In
us?
front of my camera.
Oh, in front of you.
Something just flashed in front of it. That's why I said I got to go back at 19 minutes and check this out.
Yeah, maybe we should get a camera like that. So I've got on like a...
Now it's too much fun. Now you just mess with them.
We need to get a camera like that.
I've actually come here before and just like sat here at that well. Brought my spirit box.
Are you wait, dude? Like, who are you? Like, this is awesome.
I do ghost hunting.
Spirit box.
So,
I do.
Oh, wait, where did you get that?
Amazon.
I want to get one.
Hey, man.
Oh, I'm serious.
What?
That's terrible.
Does it work good?
That was the scariest thing I saw tonight. Was that Chevy that just drove by
I was gonna say that.
with the light up wheels?
I was gonna say tacky, but
No, that scares me.
Did you get any of the fireflies on your cameras?
Love me some
What-
lightning bugs.
what are the fireflies?
Yeah, there were a bunch of them.
Okay, that's what I might be seeing. But I saw something literally just walk past this thing.
I saw fireflies.
Oh yeah, there was some lightning bugs.
Lightning bugs.
A lizard.
I've seen so many lizards out here.
Dude, they just end up in your house.
Yeah.
Like, we live in Stephenville, and like she was just like, look, we have a roommate. She's just on the wall.
Sitting on the couch having a cup of coffee.
I really was. I was Snapchatting and I was like looking up because I had my Snapchat and I was like, I have something that I didn't know was here.
So do you guys go on normal ghost hunts, or like do you guys go on ghost hunts a lot, or
We try to. Our group goes out all the time, but we usually just stick to the ones near here.
do you take new people?
Sometimes like they'll open it up to the public and stuff like that. But the Facebook page is facebook.com/texasrip.org. If you want to check them out.
I'll have to get it from you later.
Is that on your camera?
Huh?
Doesn't it record voice?
Oh yeah.
Go check it out.
Sorry.
Nobody looking? It's empty?
This is a museum.
Oh, it's a museum.
Have you seen anyone in here?
That means
Well, I mean, everybody.
are there curtains? Do we need to step
That's why if we see something moving, it might be more legit here. So.
What, like him?
I mean, dude, stop. I almost took off one of them.
I'm gonna like this one. But this here is the Langdon Center. It's used for cultural exhibits, art exhibits, music lessons. It's also known as the A.P. Gordon House. In the early days of Granberry, this is home to A.P. Gordon and his family. Mr. Gordon owned the saloon and mercantile store that's now the Nutshell Eatery and Bakery, which you'll learn more about in one moment. Mr. Gordon plays another role in these stories later on. People believe that Mr. Gordon and his 5-year-old granddaughter named Audrey still live here inside the house. People have seen a gentleman from time to time in a long-sleeved white blouse and black slacks. They get the feeling of someone standing right behind them. They'll turn to look. Catch him out of the corner of their eye. By the time they'll be all the way turned around, he'll be gone. They'll say sometimes they'll be upstairs in the office. They'll hear the front door open and close and footsteps on the stairs. It's just that they're waiting to see who's coming up to visit them. But the footsteps don't get past the second or third stair, and they don't hear them walking back out. They have no idea who's coming up to visit. It's a very creaky door and very creaky stairs, so you would definitely hear it if they walked back out. Now, Audrey loves to play with the children and teenagers that come in. Audrey's an old 5-year-old granddaughter, yeah. So they had a group of 12 to 15-year-olds taking music lessons once a week. She loved playing with them every chance she got. They would often hear a little girl laughing from the other room. Sometimes she would play with the locks on the doors, locking them in or out. Not in a scary, you're trapped way, but haha, I'm playing a joke on you. You know, little girl, she wants attention.
That's not funny.
It gets better. But so, they would always laugh and say, "You'll never guess what Audrey did this week." We came here with RIP to do a couple investigations. Got some really great findings. That's why this is one of my favorite places. The group said this is one of the most active locations we've ever investigated. We came in here taking EVP recordings, or electronic voice phenomena. If you're not familiar with ghost hunting techniques, EVP is one of the most common ways of searching for a ghost. A lot of times if a ghost is talking to you, you can't hear what they're saying with your naked ear. So you bring in a recording device, record the air, ask questions, say comments, try to provoke a response. Then you play it back, preferably with a program, let you clean it up in here really well. So you can tell, okay, that was my conversation. That wasn't there before. We came in doing what we call sweeps. A sweep is when we actually send a group of 2, 3, 4 people in to try to get the results, while the rest stay back, take a break, watch the monitors, whatever. You don't want an entire group of 20-something ghost hunters going into the building at the same time, stomping around, talking, making noise. It'll mess up your findings. Keep the group small and cycle them throughout the night. She figured Audrey likes a music lesson, and she has been known to play the piano herself from time to time. They'll be upstairs, no one's downstairs, yet the piano will start playing somehow. We figured she would enjoy some music, so we brought a guitar. Myself, a boy named Brandon, and a boy named Tyler went in to do our first ever music sweep. Brandon is sitting there playing the guitar, while Tyler and I are singing and goofing around, trying to have fun and draw her out. At one point, Brandon stops playing the guitar to hand Tyler a flashlight. At this point on the recording, we got a little girl saying, "Don't stop playing, Brandon." Later on, my mother and Greg and James, the two co-founders of the group, are inside the music suite. We all very clearly heard the little girl laughing at the other room. Then Greg asked, "Hey, Audrey, do you like it when they play the piano in here?" On the recording we got, "Yeah." We brought a little boy with us named Zachary, a little 10-year-old junior investigator, Lindsay said. They could bring a child with us, maybe that'll help draw her out. First tell them, "Okay, Zachary, really be quiet and listen hard. See if Audrey's trying to say something to you." At this point on the recording we got, "I don't like boys." We got cooties, right? Apparently she didn't mind them too much though, so don't worry guys, you're all perfectly safe. You're up on the cootie shows, right? Because later on, Zachary's sitting at the piano trying to learn how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb, really getting frustrated he can't get it right. Finally, he manages to clunk out just the right tune. As soon as he does, very clearly on the recording, we got, "Yay!" So she may not like boys, but at least she's still a good sport and cheering them on when they get an accomplishment. Now, on our second investigation we did, among our many pieces of evidence we got, my personal favorite one, my mother asked, "Do you like it when the ghost tours come by? Do you like playing with the people on the tours?" And again we got, "Yeah." So that's nice, I have a fan. I like it when they like us back, helps us out. Speaking of something did happen to us on a tour here a while back. When he calls back the next day all excited, "I got something. As I was walking away from the building,